NFL Week 3 has been absolutely insane so far. I'm going to be recapping all of Sunday's games to this point on this edition of the Shumake Take. Let's get it. All right, and welcome in everybody. Hope you're having a fantastic, fantabulous, awesome freaking day. My name is Garrett Shumake, and you are listening to the Shumake Take, and this is episode number 14. And if you're wondering why you're watching a new episode of Shumake Take on Monday, well, Sunday night, Monday morning, whenever you're watching this, if you weren't following the show, if you haven't, you should. The Shumake Take is now airing 3 days a week. I recap all of Sunday's games today. Well, not including Sunday Night Football, but I will be covering Thursday Night Football, all of the early Sunday games, afternoon Sunday games today, and then Wednesday we'll be covering Sunday Night, Monday Night Football, and then going and previewing the next week of NFL football. So I chose to, if you don't know, I chose to do this today just because it's more relevant, and also all my thoughts I have on each game is still fresh in my mind. So I think it's just better for everybody. It's better for me to be able to speak more on the game and be a little bit better about it. And then for you guys, it's easier for you guys to quickly get onto the content, watch it. Obviously, it's more relevant. A lot of people are happy today. A lot of people are upset today. So it's a nice, really roller coaster. And as I said in the intro, week 3 has been absolutely insane, dog. It's been absolutely insane. We saw the Packers destroy the Titans. We saw Malik Willis go off. We saw the Carolina Panthers drop 36. What? We saw a lot of crazy things happen. And also, when I was doing my notes and preparing for the script, at least for the games I watched, there were a ton of sacks this week. There were a metric blank ton of sacks. And at least the games I covered and the games I watched, how many did I watch today? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'll include Titans Packers 5. I kind of watched it on and off. Something told me I should, and we'll get to that later on. But 4 out of the 5 games had 6, 7, 8 sacks. Like, it was ridiculous. But we got to start in that department. We got to start with Thursday Night Football, with the New York Jets defeating the New England Patriots 24-3. And this one I got wrong. I thought the Patriots were going to upset the Jets this week. And the Jets looked more like what people thought they were going to look like here in week 3. Aaron Rodgers was dealing. He wasn't spectacular. He was not horrible. But he played a very solid Aaron Rodgers-like game. He was getting the ball out quick. He was efficient. And that's exactly what you want to see after these first couple weeks being kind of shaky, being a little inconsistent. It's now looking more comfortable. It's now looking more in rhythm. And hopefully you expect that to be better. And a couple other quick notes from the offense. Allen Lazard had a really nice touchdown catch. It's actually the first touchdown catch for Aaron Rodgers' career as a Jet. So that was really nice to see. Garrett Wilson didn't do too much, but he had a really nice touchdown catch where he had running a quick out, beat the defender, got him all shaking and baking, and then went over top, grabbed it. Boom. That was a really nice catch. Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, though. This is what you would call a duo. They were great in this game. They were great. Their stats weren't spectacular, but here's the deal. When you both go over, well, Breece Hall had 55 yards rushing. Braylon Allen had like 60 yards rushing. But still, that's solid. And that's what you expect out of a running back duo. You want them to be efficient in their own ways, keep them each fresh, so they're not carrying the ball too much. And Breece Hall looked explosive, and Braylon Allen was tough. I mean, and that's why you drafted Braylon Allen for the Jets, because he's a perfect complement to Breece Hall. Breece Hall is your do-it-all back who can, who runs quick, he's twitchy, he's fast, can catch out of the backfield. Then you have Braylon Allen, who's more of a power guy. And now you have thunder and lightning, smash and dash, whatever duo you want to call them. It's a little early to start giving them a nickname, but it looked good. They were really good, and I think moving forward, that needs to be the emphasis for the Jets, is these two running backs getting involved. because we saw the first couple of weeks their running backs weren't doing too much as a collective unit, and it led to offensive struggles. And we see the Jets running backs performing well, and in turn, that passing game does well. And oh, it's raining outside. I heard like a rustling, and I was like, what the heck is that? It's raining outside. But honestly, the offense was fine, but the tail of the tape was the Jets' defense. Not only, obviously, they held the Patriots to 3 points, but they held them to like less than 150 yards of offense. As I mentioned, sacks. They got 7 stinking sacks. And this Patriots O-line is just bad. I know that there are some injuries. The left tackle went out at some point. I can't remember when. That's unfortunate. Hope he gets better. But this offensive line just simply is not cutting it. They got pressure on Jacoby Brissett all game long. They only held him to 98 passing yards. The running back duo that they have, Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson, they didn't do much of anything. They were stuffed all game long. The only bright spot of the Patriots offense, honestly, was Demario Douglas. He had 79 yards receiving, and he was the only one that really did anything on the offense. Like I said, in passing game wise, that's literally it. Only one other receiver caught more than one pass, so obviously you want to see more of that. And Drake May came in at the end of the game, just to clean up. It was in garbage time. Threw 8 passes, 4 of 8 for 22 yards. Nothing really notable. But hey, he saw his first NFL action. It was, I'm not going to evaluate it because, like I said, it was in garbage time. But he went in, got his first NFL snaps. So for a Patriots fan, there's something of notability you can look at. But honestly, I thought the Patriots would be a lot more competitive in this game, given that they upset the Bengals in week 1. They drove Seattle all the way to overtime in week 2. I thought that going here against the New York Jets, I thought they would surprise some people and win this game. And I was banking on it. I was kind of hoping for it, but alas, it didn't happen. And they looked more like the 3-14 team that I had predicted to go. But, the Jets, they had started off shaky. They bounced back. They had a really good game. And honestly, I think a lot of people expected this game to happen. And I probably should have too, honestly. But either way, the Patriots offense was not good enough. The Patriots defense didn't do enough. And Aaron Rodgers and the Jets looked like the expected New York Jets. Moving on, we got an actual upset in this one. The Denver Broncos beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 26-7. And for Tampa, the passing game, which was so explosive the first 2 games, came to a screeching halt. Baker only had 160 yards passing. He was picked off. He was intercepted by the safety Brandon Jones for Denver. And that was kind of the story at the beginning when I was first looking at it, was that passes were just being broken up. Passes windows were tight. The ball wasn't able to go downfield. And the only really big bright spot for the Bucs was Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving was very impressive. He had 9 carries. He had 70 yards. And this is why you drafted a guy like Bucky Irving. Because Rachaad White, he didn't really do well in this game. But here's the thing. Rachaad White is a guy who you can give him. He's quick in the backfield, shifty, catch out of the backfield, whatnot. I think I said that twice. But Bucky Irving can do the exact same thing. And it makes the offense in the running game a lot harder to predict. Because you have 2 guys with similar skill sets that can do the same things out of the backfield. And Bucky Irving, he looked really good. I really liked him coming out of Oregon. And it's really nice to see that piece so the Bucs offense come out a little bit and have some success in relief of Rachaad White, who wasn't playing that well. But oh my goodness, I lost my train of thought. I don't know what I was going there. But the name of the game, though, I talked about the pass windows being tight and whatnot, but that's not the full story. The full story here is that the Bucs offensive line was absolutely horrible. It was absolutely horrible. They allowed, once again, another team allowing 7 stinking sacks. 7 sacks. That's not going to win you a football game in the NFL if you get sacked for 7 times. And they were sound. They were clean. They had a much better game than their first 2 weeks of the year. And if you're a Broncos fan, you have to feel really good about that. And not only do you feel good about how the defense played, you got to feel good about Bo Nix too, because he had 200 passing yards, he had 9 runs, he had 47 yards, ran for a touchdown. Still hasn't had a passing touchdown yet, but I think that's fine right now. He played solid, took care of the ball, and for a rookie, that's what you want to see. Just solid, clean football, nothing too crazy, nothing too dangerous. Just play the game, and that's what happened. Here's the thing. When you want a rookie quarterback to play well, what does he have to have? He has to have a good running game. And what did the Broncos have this game? A good running game. Tyler Batty didn't even know who this guy was, but he came out of nowhere. He had 70 yards, looked incredible, had a touchdown. Javonte Williams didn't do much of anything, and he's starting to really disappoint me. I don't think he's going to be much of anything this year, unfortunately. The injuries, hasn't been able to get into a solid rhythm. But for now, Tyler Batty had a really good game, and that's what you saw with the Denver Broncos offense was they were running the ball, building play action off of it, and Bo Nix had tons of time to see the field and make plays. And you can't ask for a better situation schematically for a rookie quarterback. You want to be able to run the ball well, take the pressure off, build off a play action, and it'll give you some time to just look and see the field and read it. Because that's what you want. Because the last thing a rookie quarterback needs is pressure. And, well, guess what? They didn't allow a sack. They didn't allow very many pressures in general. And Bo Nix, solid game. Cortland Sutton was the leading receiver. He had like 67 yards. And, the big thing for Denver's offense for me was, they had a little bit more talent than I initially gave them credit for, which that's on me. That's my fault. But I was wondering who was going to be the consistent receiver, who's going to be the consistent target or playmaker, or whatever you want to say. And it's been Cortland Sutton so far. He's been productive in every game so far this year for Denver. And I know it's kind of weird to say like that wasn't going to happen. I'm not going to say I didn't expect it, but it's still nice to see that Cortland Sutton is still playing well and he's consistent. These past couple years with Russell Wilson at quarterback has, kind of dragged down his stock in the NFL. Because before that, I thought he was a top 30 receiver, maybe top 20 at best. And after Russell Wilson, people kind of just wrote him off completely. So to see him playing well with Bo Nix, that's good to see. I'm happy for Cortland. It's good that he's playing well, and Bo Nix is going to need him to play well if they want to have any aspirations to do anything this season. But you know what? I had them going 4-13. They just got their first win. And last I checked, if you win one win every 3 games, that's on pace for 5. That's not saying much, but you know what? That beats my prediction. And for now, great win for Bo Nix. Great win for the Denver Broncos. Broncos defense played lights out in this game for the most part. But overall, big upset. Great win for Denver. Moving on to the third game that I watched, the Miami Dolphins at the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks win 24-3. And starting off with Seattle, Geno Smith I thought was pretty good in this game. He had 2 picks. One of them was kind of But you know what? It's whatever because Zach Charbonnet, I can't remember how to pronounce his name. I'm sorry. But he was great in this game. He had 90 yards, couple of touchdowns. And with Kenneth Walker out of his game, he stepped up big. And we've always seen Zach Charbonnet, and Kenneth Walker as a duo. But we've never really seen Zach Charbonnet kind of take on that full workload like that, like we saw today. And you know what? He played well. And that's what you really want to see. DK was great as usual. Had over 100 yards. He had an incredible, I think it was like a 60-yard touchdown. Absolutely burned the defender bad. Incredible. Early on in the game, I'm looking at my TV thinking about trying to visualize it. And my TV's off. But he had an incredible back shoulder catch over the defender's shoulder. It was ridiculous. And you see the mismatch of DK Metcalf. Boom. That was it right there. But the second half was pretty rough. But then again, the Dolphins defense, we'll get to them in a second, but they fought hard. But honestly, the Seahawks offense really didn't have to do that much because the Seattle defense was cooking. I talked about it. Sacks. They had 6 sacks in this game, and we can finally see a Seahawks pass rush for the first time in a few years. And man, is that such a breath of fresh air. Head coach Mike McDonald has really, really revamped this unit. It's playing a lot better. The defense as a whole is playing much better. And the one hole that they had in their pass rush is performing well. I thought Byron Murphy, their rookie defensive tackle, played well in this game. He unfortunately got hurt. I don't know what the extent of the injury is. But you see Leonard Williams. I can't remember the other guys on the defensive line for the life of me. I'm sorry. But they were playing well. They got pressure on the offensive line for the Miami. And Miami's offensive line is horrible. It's horrible. It's hurt. It's not consistent. And it led to backup quarterback Skylar Thompson going out of the game with a chest injury. And that's just tough. Tim Boyle came in and finished out the game. But the running game wasn't good enough. Devon Achane only had 30 yards rushing. Raheem Mostert's still out, so hoping that he can get back as soon as possible. But no, he's on IR, so he's going to miss next week too. But here's the thing about Miami. The passing game was not good enough. And I said it last week, and here's the deal. If the Miami Dolphins, their offense thrives on being able to push the ball down the field and throw it deep. And if you take that away from Miami's offense, this offense isn't good. This offense cannot adapt. It cannot change. It simply was not good. And of course, Skylar Thompson, the backup quarterback, is in, so he's not going to do as much as Tua, for example. But the bottom line is, you need a backup quarterback to be able to execute the offense the exact same way. That's the idea. That's the idea of what you want in a backup quarterback, at least in my opinion. And if you can't do what your offense does best and you can't change, you're not going to win football games. And when your offensive line allows 6 sacks, you're not going to win football games. It's unfortunate. We'll have to see which quarterback will play against the Titans on Monday Night Football next week. It'll be an interesting watch. And honestly, right now, that Monday night game, before the season even started, I thought that game would be a little bit more interesting. Right now, it's going to look terrible. But we'll get to that later on Wednesday. But the Dolphins defense, give them credit. They played hard. They got 3 sacks, 2 picks. I mean, I thought they could have done enough to win had the offense played a little better. But when the offense only scores 3 points and can't get anything going, I mean, that's just not a winning formula to win football games. But good on Seattle for getting another win. That's good for them. Are they 3-0 right now? I think they are. Let me look. Where's Google? Impromptu Google search on the show right now. Time to use the voice search because I'm like that. Seattle Seahawks schedule. That was so stupid. You could probably hear it going off. Let's see for a second. Yeah, they're 3-0. I was right. They are 3-0 right now. And good for them. That's what you want to see. Let me get back to my script wherever that might be. Boom. We're back in business, boys and girls and everybody in between. I don't even know what the heck that means. Everybody. Just everybody. Sorry. Let me just move on. The Ravens beat the Dallas Cowboys 28-25. And the name of the game for Baltimore, run the ball. Lamar, we'll get to his running game in a second. Well, we're going to get to it right now, actually. He had a great bounce back game after week 2 not being very good. He only had 180 yards passing, but he ran for 87 and a touchdown. And Derrick Henry, King Henry, reigns supreme. He had 25 for 151, 2 touchdowns, and this right here is the winning formula for Baltimore. When Baltimore runs the ball well, the Baltimore Ravens win. And this is why they got Derrick Henry, because if you can use him correctly, he will give you yards. He will give you a chance to win. And that's what happened here. Excuse me. The Ravens passing attack, considering that the receivers aren't getting separation, they're not making plays. Well, they made some plays today. Nelson Aguilar had a huge 50-yard catch, so good for him. But it hasn't been consistent. So what have the Ravens been able to consistently do well? Run the football. So stick to it. Run the football. They ran it almost 40 times, and you know what? They were successful. Anytime you run for over 200 yards in a game, you're probably going to win. So the Baltimore Ravens, they were 0-2. They jumped to 1-2. They don't fall to 0-3, which is huge for their season. And the overall the right side of the offensive line was better. I thought. I know it's still a weak spot for them on their offense, but I thought they played well enough. They were fine. They won the game, obviously. And the Ravens defense played a lot more sound throughout the game. It was 21-3 for a majority of the game, well into the third. But at the end there, it started to fall apart, and it allowed the Dallas Cowboys to bounce back. And speaking of bouncing back, Dak, he had 379 yards, 2 touchdowns, played a much better game than these first 2 weeks of the year. And unfortunately, Dak kind of had to do everything because the running game was absolutely non-existent. I don't know why they thought they could roll into the season with Ezekiel Elliott and Dalvin Cook playing. I don't even think Dalvin Cook played in this game at all. But the starter, Ezekiel Elliott, he's old, can't play anymore. They need a running back. They needed one going into the offseason anyways. They didn't get one. So, Dak's having to do everything. And he had 11 different receivers catch a pass from him. That's pretty insane if you think about it. Because when you think about receivers, how many receivers are on an NFL roster? 5 to 6. And then you have 3 to 4 tight ends, 3 or 4 running backs. So, almost everybody on the roster for Dallas caught a pass just about. And, Dak, I thought, did enough to win. He bounced back, like I said. And the rest of this defense didn't do enough. It was all too little too late, honestly. But going back to the defense for just one quick second, it's a problem. This defense is a problem right now. They're allowing too many points. They're not creating big enough plays. And I thought that this defense would be more consistent. I thought it would be better under Mike Zimmer. But the production, it's simply not there. It's simply not there. And when you're going in well into the third quarter and you're down 21-3, eventually I think it went down like 28-10 at some point, that's not going to win football games. If you cannot hold the offense and slow them down, you're not going to win football games like that. And they went down big last week against the Saints, and it simply wasn't enough, and the comeback was just too little, too late. But for the Cowboys, they dropped to 1-2, and if you're a Cowboys fan, you're kind of worrying a little bit about what your season's going to look like, because right now we have no idea what the Cowboys are. And I kind of expected that, if I'm being entirely honest, kind of why I picked them to go 9-8. But we'll just have to see what plays out, because right now Dallas and probably Dallas Cowboys fans are a little bit worried at the moment. And that was all the games that I was able to physically watch with my own eyes. And now we got to get into quick bits, which if you don't know what quick bits are just me recapping every other game that I didn't watch and just kind of giving you my general thoughts and impressions from what I saw. And this first one I'm not going to really count it as a quick bit because I watched part of it. And that was the Green Bay Packers beating down the Tennessee Titans 30-14. And in this game, Malik Willis was incredible in this game, dog. He had over 200 yards passing, 70 rushing yards. He had 2 touchdowns. And good God, against a Titans defense that I thought looked really good. Pretty decent, good, whatever word you want to use. These first couple weeks of the season, they were number 1 in a couple categories. But he cooked them. He absolutely cooked them. He was slicing and dicing. There was 4 or 5 30-plus yard throws. There was open crossing route to Jaden Reed on the opening drive. There was a big 30-plus yard back shoulder to Christian Watson on the opening drive. He had a 30-yard passing touchdown. I can't remember who it was to, but that was huge for them. And the running game was non-existent, but that's the thing. What's even more impressive is like the game plan for Green Bay was try to run the ball and then let Malik Willis get more comfortable. But here's the thing. The Titans sold out to stop the run, and they were going to say, all right, your running game is good. We're going to stop it. We're going to force Malik to beat us with his arm. But you know what? He beat you with his arm. And he also beat you with your legs, too. Josh Jacobs didn't do much of anything. Malik Willis was everything. And you know what? That's the best game he's ever played. Not just because, obviously, his stats were the best, but he looked like a NFL quarterback. With Tennessee, he never looked like an NFL quarterback. He was very shaky. He was very inconsistent, held the ball too long, and just was not seeing the field. And now he's literally seeing the field drop in dimes. And to see him come from this small school of Liberty to get to where he is now, where he's started a couple games in the NFL, played well, is 2-0 as a starter, and I'm so happy for Malik. He is really bounced back, and he's officially, now, is he ever going to be a franchise quarterback? I don't know, but you know what? Malik Willis belongs in the NFL, and he has found a place in the NFL, and that's really good for him. I'm happy for him. I know some people were excited about him coming out of college. Hasn't panned out, I'm sure, like he'd want to. But you know what? Malik Willis is a great dude, and so to see a great dude have some success, that's incredible. Good job for Malik Willis. But going to Tennessee, Will Levis, I thought Will Levis played fine in this game. Outside of the pick six, that was pretty horrendous, if I'm being entirely honest. You know, Will Levis wasn't all that bad. The second interception was just a deep shot late in the game. They were already down 27-14. You know, there was not much time left, so whatever. But, I mean, this offense for Will Levis and the Titans is just bad. The Titans have fallen to 0-3, and currently, at the time of the recording of this video, they're the only 0-3 team in the NFL. And they are now, right now, as of me recording this video, they are the worst team in the NFL. And it's so disappointing because I was one of the few people that expected Tennessee to be good this year, and I was rooting for them. But, good God. The offense was miserable. They allowed 9 sacks on Will Levis today. 8, was it 8? May have been 8, may have been 9. Either way, the offensive line these first 3 weeks has been the absolute worst in the NFL, and it has not been close. Right now, they're on pace to have over 70 sacks allowed on the season. And right now, the idea was, okay, can we get Will Levis a fair evaluation? And has he played great in his own right? No. But it's how can we give an evaluation of Will Levis? How can we see what he's got if his offensive line literally just allows pressure more than 50% of the time? And that's frustrating because I talked about it when I was going over my schedule predictions. The Titans got Bill Callahan, an offensive line coach that's renowned for his coaching of offensive line play. He was with the Browns, who literally had a top 3 offensive line every year he was there. And so to see this happen, it's very frustrating. Then Calvin Ridley, you paid him $92 million, isn't doing anything. You paid Lloyd Cushenberry on that offensive line. He was horrible in this game. You know, who else on defense? Jeffrey Simmons didn't do enough. He got a sack, but had a bad penalty that led to a touchdown on a field goal that was missed by the Packers kicker. Then your highest paid corner, L'Jarius Sneed, was cooked all game long against Malik Willis. And honestly, the name of the game here is like Malik Willis went into Tennessee, beat his former team down pretty bad. And for Tennessee, this is rock bottom. This is rock bottom for their franchise. I know some people expected this to happen. A lot of people did, honestly, but I didn't, and that's very disappointing. But for Tennessee, their season is over. They're the only team right now that's 0-3 to my understanding. I could be wrong on that. But right now, they look bad. This offense looks bad. The defense that was honestly really good these first couple weeks fell apart. And they go against Miami on Monday night against a backup quarterback, whether it's Tim Boyle or Skylar Thompson. So, I mean, this is the best opportunity they're going to get a win early in this year. And if they don't get a win in Miami in week 4, we'll talk about it later on Wednesday. But you might be seeing a quarterback change by week 6. And also, if you're Tennessee and you see Malik play that well and you see Will Levis, see what he's doing, he's leading the NFL in turnovers right now, you may have got rid of the wrong quarterback. Sorry, Titans fans, but you may have gotten rid of the wrong quarterback. Moving on to a little bit more of a positive note. The Giants beat the Browns 21-15, and for the Giants, this is what this team looks like when it plays well. I mean, I know that's very arbitrary, but here's the thing. Daniel Jones played well. David Secretary played well. Malik Neighbors is him. He had an insane touchdown catch. Flew up, extended his body, fell down, got the 2 feet down. Oh, my God. That touchdown catch was absolutely nuts. And that's why you drafted him, because he's a playmaker. And he's been nothing but a playmaker since he's got in these first 3 games. And the defensive line did something. They did something. Brian Burns got a sack. A couple others got a sack. And that's what you want to see. This defense got a pass rush. And that is the winning formula for the Giants. Just play solid, clean football on offense. Just be all right. Don't do anything stupid. Just be fine and let the defense, let the pass rush take care of it. And that's the winning formula. I know they beat the Browns, which that's not a high bar. But you know what? You didn't want to fall 0-3. And you know what? They survived from being 0-3. They're down 1-2. The season's not lost for them. They are still technically fighting. And for the Browns, they fell to 1-2. But outside of that win against Dallas, this offense is a mess. Deshaun Watson looks bad. The running game is not consistent. Receivers outside of Amari Cooper are bad. This offensive line is struggling. And right now, if you're Cleveland, the defense is also not at where it needs to be, in my opinion. And it continues to be the same old story for the Cleveland Browns, just not being able to execute, not being able to do enough to win. And I'm sorry, Browns fans. I had a lot of expectations for the Browns this season, but they're back, they're healthy, and the team is worse. It's just worse. And I don't know where the Browns go from here, but after losing to the Giants, I do not feel encouraged at all for Cleveland's team. Moving on to a more fun game overall, the Eagles beat the New Orleans Saints 15-12, and what did I tell you? What did I tell you? I told you to keep your eye on this game, and this game delivered. It was boring throughout the entire part of it. It was 7-12, and then Saints were in control. But then guess what? Saquon Barkley, 65-yard touchdown, had almost 150 yards on the day. Was absolutely incredible for Philly. And 2-minute drill. What does Philly do? They throw it out to Dallas Goedert, and he runs down the field for like a 70-plus yard play. They score and take the lead. And oh my gosh, this game was pretty boring for the most part, but it had a pretty exciting finish. I'm not going to lie. I was able to watch that last 2 minutes of the game, and that right there just got me invested and got me excited. And right now, if you're Philly, you're feeling really, really, really good. Even though you're 2-1, hey, I mean, you're one bad play away from being 3-0, but what you wanted to see from this Philadelphia team is be more competitive on offense and defense, and they have been. This Eagles defense, especially the secondary, played a really, really great game, and that's something I kind of anticipated with the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints dropped 40 points the first 2 games of the year, and this is their first real test, and I don't want to say they failed it because their offense technically did enough to win. Alvin Kamara played well. Chris Olave played well, so it wasn't like it was an absolute dumpster fire. But man, oh man, was this a test? And they were competitive. They ultimately failed the test, of course. But you know what? For Philly, good for them. And for the New Orleans Saints, you literally drove it down to the wire. You couldn't hold on at the end. But you know what? It's very discouraging right now. But for the Saints, I'm giving them credit where credit's due. I thought there was a possibility they could win this game. There was a universe where they did, and we are not in this universe, but I'm giving a lot of credit to the New Orleans Saints because they fought hard against the Eagles. And this Saints team, I'm going to get to this in a second, but they might be a better team than I expected. Like, they are right now a better team than I expected. Let me just say that definitively. They are a better team. Because just like how the Eagles are one play away from being 3-0, the Saints are one play away from being 3-0 as well, just about. And if you're the New Orleans Saints, the loss today, it sucks because you let it go at the end. But you know what? You got to feel proud about how hard the New Orleans Saints fought in this game. And this was a very winnable game. I thought that the Eagles would kind of bring them back down to earth and pull away a little bit. Nope. This Saints team could be, and at least right now looks like they are legit. And great game, great finish to an otherwise boring game for the most part. But that's what the NFL is all about. The NFL is also all about blowouts. And positive blowouts. The Vikings beat the Texans 34-7. How does that happen? Well, I'll tell you how it happened. First off, Vikings offense, Sam Darnold does it again. 4 touchdown passes. Aaron Jones was great, had over 100 yards rushing, and it was the defense. This Vikings defense I thought was going to be the Achilles heel of this team has been one of the brightest spots in the entire NFL. Jonathan Grenard brought him in from Houston, got 3 sacks against his former team, and the pass rush that the Vikings desperately, oh so desperately needed, has been getting home, and it has been nothing but absolutely productive. And goodness, does this make me feel good. And I was wrong too. Like, I thought the Vikings would finish 7-10, and not because I thought the team was bad. I just thought Sam Darnold wasn't going to be it. But you know what? He's been more than it. And right now, if you're a Vikings fan, you're 3-0. You're feeling great right now. Right now, they're the best team in the division. They're the best team in the division right now. They're 3-0. How did that happen? I got no freaking clue. It's not on my bingo card, but still, great job for Minnesota getting a win. I thought this game was going to be close. I thought it was going to be a more fun game. But the Vikings, dude, they made a statement today. They made a statement today against Houston, who I think is going to win the division, who's going to make it be a playoff contender. Well, not be a playoff contender, but people are expecting to compete for a Super Bowl. Well, I mean, you pick him off twice, slow down the running game. Joe Mixon was out for Houston, so that took a dip. And just Houston simply didn't do enough to win this game. I mean, obviously, but very disappointing on Houston's end. But hey, you started 2-0. You had a little fluke there. You're 2-1. I think Houston's going to be okay. Like, this is not some like brain melting, mind like panic ensuing loss. No, it's just right now the Vikings are the better football team. They're hot. They're 3-0, and they go against the Packers next week, and that is gonna be one heck of a game to watch. We'll talk about it more on Wednesday. But a game that's a little bit more boring and a little bit more ugly. The Colts beat the Chicago Bears 21-16, and I told you guys, do not hype up the Bears. Pump the brakes, please. Why? Because Caleb Williams is a rookie quarterback. And what did he look like today? A rookie quarterback. Had a mostly decent game. Had over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, had 2 interceptions. Rome Odunze, the rookie, had over 100 yards. He had a touchdown. That was really cool to see. But right now, this defense is not consistent. This offense is not consistent. And for the Colts, their defense, which has not been good, played better in this game. They bounced back. But just like Caleb Williams not playing consistent, Anthony Richardson wasn't consistent either. He had 2 picks in this game. And right now, looking at the 2023 quarterback class, you know, there was a lot of intrigue going into it because, you know, Bryce Young, super talented. Anthony Richardson, super high ceiling. Will Levis, very talented. CJ Stroud, most pro ready. Like, you know, every quarterback class gets, you know, hyped up only for 1 or 2 guys at best to be better, to be good. And the rest of them just don't, they just, I don't know, fizzle out. Yeah, that's the word. They just fizzle out. They're not good. And looking at it right now, CJ Stroud's the only one that's doing good. CJ Stroud is fine. Bryce Young, benched. We'll get to them in here in just a second. The Anthony Richardson doesn't look good. Will Levis doesn't look good. And right now, CJ Stroud's the one man standing. But for the Colts, unfortunate that Anthony Richardson's playing how he's playing. They got the win. They didn't fall to 0-3, so their season's still alive. But I don't know how much farther the Colts can go right now with how he is playing. Got away there against Chicago, against the other young quarterback. But for both of these teams, they got to get their stuff together. Because if they want any chance to win games and meet their expectations that people put on them, they got to start getting better quarterback play. Because the game that we saw today was not a clean game at all by either team, and they need to be better. Both of them need to be better. This game was a little bit interesting for me. The Chargers and the Steelers. Steelers beat the Chargers 20-10, And this is what I kind of expected, if I'm being entirely honest. Because here's the thing, the Steelers defense is really good. Justin Herbert is still kind of coming back from an injury. And they held J.K. Dobbins to 44 yards. He fell back down to earth today, which was a little disappointing. Quentin Johnson had a couple touchdowns. That was nice. It's nice to see him being productive in the aerial attack. But, excuse me, the name of the game is the Steelers defense. The Steelers are 3-0 right now. They are up top the division objectively at this point in time. And that was not on my bingo card. I think I had them starting. Did I have them starting 3-0 actually? I think I had them starting 2-1 if I remember correctly. 2-1 or 1-2. I don't think it was 3-0 or 0-3. But the Steelers defense is carrying this team right now. And Justin Fields, he had a good game. And if I'm Pittsburgh, honestly, with Russell Wilson still being injured, and the way Justin Fields is playing, he's playing solid. He didn't have a pick today, which, whatever. Honestly, right now, I think you need to roll with Justin Fields. And I know that's crazy for me to say that, especially because I've been talking about how he's a backup all offseason long. But, right now, the Steelers have a formula, and it's working. And I don't know if you throw in Russell Wilson and change that formula, because if Russell Wilson comes in and they lose, then you got a little quarterback controversy starting. And right now, I would just keep Justin Fields, keep the consistency, because, like I said, you're 3-0. Steelers defense is playing out of their minds right now, and you got a winning formula that is working. So I would stick to it for now, just for continuity's sake. And for the Chargers, they allowed plenty of sacks in this game. I think I might be thinking about a different game, but Chargers went up against good defense, couldn't do enough to win. But hey, they're still coming. Justin Herbert's still coming back from injury. And the offensive pieces on this group are not great, in my opinion. So I figured this game was going to be a little bit of a up and down loopsy doopsy game for the Chargers. And hey, they were 2-0. They lost a tough game. Doesn't waver my thoughts about the Chargers at all at this point in time. But a game that does change my thoughts. The Carolina Panthers beat the Raiders 36-22. How? So crazy it's making me sneeze. How? How did this happen? Well, I'll tell you how it happened, because Andy Dalton went in there, had 3, maybe 4 touchdowns, if I remember correctly, and absolutely had a great freaking game. And for the Raiders, this is very disappointing. I thought the Raiders were going to win this game handedly regardless, and I haven't talked about it. If Andy Dalton played bad in this game, we were going to talk about the David Tepper problem. Well, now that's not happening. Why is that not happening? Because Andy Dalton gave this team a spark. Deontay Johnson had a great game, and it's clear to me now that Bryce Young may have been the problem. And that is sad. That's unfortunate, but you play 2 games, you're really stinking bad, and you go to Andy Dalton, and the veteran goes in there and lights the world on fire. And another team that was 0-2 that was able to win a game this week and not fall to 0-3. And so now the season doesn't feel lost anymore for Carolina. And I had them finishing 7-10 this year, and now if they play like that, that is very, very much possible. And for the Raiders, very disappointing loss. You didn't do enough to win in this game. But honestly, the Panthers, like I said, I thought Rant's 10 was going to be about the David Tepper problem. Well, it's no longer going to be the David Tepper problem, but now I can say definitively Rant's 10 is going to be it's going to be similar. We got to talk about how quarterback classes are overhyped. We got to talk about it, because here's the thing. Like I mentioned it before, but this 2023 QB class is awful. And, outside of CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, he's done. Will Levis and Anthony Richardson aren't playing good. And CJ Stroud is the only one that's been good at any point. And it's unfortunate, but that's the reality of the NFL. Usually 4 or 5 quarterbacks or so, 3, 4, or 5 quarterbacks will be drafted into the first round every year. There's 4 or 5 guys going into next year's draft that people are keeping their eye on. And here's the thing. Mathematically, It always pans out that, one, maybe two will pan out, and most of the time, none of them pan out. That's just how the NFL works. And that will be Rants 10. We'll talk more about it on Wednesday if the opportunity comes up. But that's it for that. 2 more games to go. The Rams, beat the 49ers 27-24. The Rams do not fall to 0-3. Another 0-2 team that bounced back. And this game was full of injuries. I mean, Debo was out. CMC is out. Kittle is out. Puka Nacua is out. Cooper Kupp is out. But this game still was incredible. Went down to the wire. Brock Purdy, everyone was like, oh, no CMC, no star players. He's not good. He's not good. Well, he's good. Because you know what happened? He threw for almost 300 yards, had 3 touchdowns. Jordan Mason still played well. Juwan Jennings had over 175 yards, he had 175 yards and 3 touchdowns. Can we admit Brock Purdy is good? Can we admit that he's good now? Can we finally admit that, please? Thank you. He's good. He's a good quarterback. He's not carried by his offense, as much as people like to say that, and as much as I thought I said that, or as much as I probably believed that early on when he started playing well. You know what? This game answers, slams the door on that debate. He's a good quarterback, and it's not because he's carried by his offense. No, he's a good quarterback because he's a good quarterback. And for the 49ers, good bounce-back game. Well, I should say a bounce-back game, but given that all the stuff that was in the adversity that was surrounding their team, they overcame it, and they almost overcame it, I should say. I'm getting too far ahead of myself, but they fought hard. They fought hard to the very, very end, and for the Rams, good on them. They were able to overcome their injuries, and they're another 0-2 team, like I said, that does not fall to 0-3. And lastly, the Cardinals, the Lions beat the Arizona Cardinals 20-13, and kind of like the Baltimore Ravens and Cowboys game, the name of the game for Detroit was running the football. David Montgomery had 100 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs had 83 yards. The passing game was solid and clean. Jared Goff had was 12 of 12 in the first half completely. The Cardinals, offensively, the running game was simply not there. Kyler Murray was kind of up and down. Marvin Harrison Jr. got another touchdown. Good for him. That was nice to see. But compared to these first couple games, the Lions defense really shut down the Cardinals. And I thought this game would be better. It was still a one-score game, so it was close. But I thought this game would have been more fun to watch. But given the final score and seeing how things played out on the outside looking in, it did not turn out that way. It was a very, very gritty game by both of these defenses. But, hey, I picked the Lions to win this game. They won, so for my win record total, that's fine by me, man. That's fine by me. But that is going to do it for this episode. On Wednesday, we are going to recap Sunday Night Football, which I need to watch as soon as I'm done recording this. Then we got to recap the 2 Monday Night Football games, the doubleheader that will be happening tomorrow. And then we'll be previewing NFL Week 3, and I will be introducing a new segment. Well, not a new segment, but a segment for this, looking at all the 3-0 teams, looking at all the 0-3 teams, and for the teams that are 3-0, are they legit? And the teams that are 0-3, is it time to hit the panic button? So that will be on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. But that will do it for me. Don't forget to do whatever YouTuber tells you to do. You know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share the video, talk to it about your friends. Let everybody get locked in to the Shumake Take. I got great content coming out for you guys, starting now 3 days a week. So stay tuned. It's coming out, and I will see you guys in the next one.